What is up, Poyos? Welcome to the Loner Spoiler Cast, where we're talking about Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. That's about... Yeah, Star Wars.
That was a terrible sound. Gorgeous.
Nailing
Gorgeous.
it. Yeah. Star Wars. Yeah, we're talking about Star Wars, baby. Episode 5. I did something. Oh, I'm joined by Nick. Hello, Nick. How's it going? It's good to see you.
You almost forgot me. I was just going to leave.
Yeah, Nick's here as well.
If you forgot about me, I was just going to leave. I'm glad that you...
Yeah. Well, and just so everyone knows, we did watch the special editions that are on Disney Plus. So that would be the like 2011 release of Star Wars, I guess. I did something this week, Nick, that I should have done last week. I went on the old U of Tubes.
Okay.
And I was like, hey, YouTube, tell me, what are the differences between this movie that we watched and the original, right? And apparently, as far as I found, this was the most unaltered one out of the three originals. So Empire's the most unaltered, and you can tell watching, like, they didn't change much. And the things they did change wasn't like egregious. One of the big changes was the Wampa. The scene at the beginning with the Wampa, him like sitting down and eating was actually added. That wasn't in the OG cut. Really, in the OG cut, you kind of just see him kind of come at Luke at one point and him chopping his arm off. Everything else was kind of added later.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of interesting. Obviously, they added the Cloud City stuff, all the CG like Cloud City renderings and stuff, which is fine. And then they made some like musical choices, musical changes, and transition changes with the music. But really, they didn't change a whole lot, other than like up-resing it and making it look better.
Gotcha.
But what they did do in the original special edition in 1997, that when Luke falls down the the fucking shaft, when Vader cuts his arm off and Luke pieces out, he does go in the special edition. He goes, ah! He's yelling, but they took that out in the 2011 re-release.
Oh, that's good, because that's a terrible thing to happen.
Yeah, that made me laugh. There was something special about like seeing it though, and it's like original, like crappy quality, you know, like, and it's not like high def quality. Like there's something about that just feels special, because it does look like crispy and clean on Disney Plus. But anyway, Nick, what do you think of Star Wars Episode 5?
You know, I liked it a lot. I like it a lot. There is one very glaring like problem that I had, and I brought it up to you yesterday. And the problem that I have is Darth Vader is so fucking set on getting the Millennium Falcon, but none of the rebels that escape Hoth, he doesn't give a shit about them except the Millennium Falcon and Luke. Like, I understand that Luke's probably on the Millennium Falcon and Vader thinks that, but also Luke like goes into battle in the middle of the snow, takes out I would never fly with Luke, by the way. I would never be like his wingman, because every wingman he ever has dies.
Yeah, rest in peace, Dak.
Dak and the other guy, I forget his name. Biggs also dies. But like Luke is in the middle of a battlefield, and then he just kind of walks back. Like we don't see anything of like how he gets back or whatever. He's just in the snow fighting walkers, and he just gets back to the X-Wing, which is sitting outside for him. You know, he completely finds the X-Wing just sitting there. And I thought it was very strange.
I felt like that was his X-Wing, like that he had already had from the previous mission.
Yeah, absolutely. But somebody had to pilot it outside. R2 probably piloted it outside, and he got clear of this battle that was going on somehow. And there were still people like walking around, milling around, just like, oh yeah, we're still here, we're still rebels. You think that like the Empire would be hunting them down and like dealing with them. But as soon as the Millennium Falcon takes off, it's like, well, no, all the rebels are fine. We just want the Millennium Falcon. And I think we give
Well,
I think
I
we
just
give
don't think
too
we
much-
we saw the
think
remainder
we
of
give-
the battle, you know?
I think we give too much credit to this movie and like are just lenient with this movie. But when episode 8 does it, everybody's like, how the fuck did Finn get back to the place where he was? And it's like, it's literally episode 5.
I mean,
the beginning of
I
episode
feel
5.
like
Luke
that's
makes it
different
back.
though, because like what Luke did like wasn't time based, right? And there was like an ongoing firefight going down there, and there were speeders everywhere. He probably just took a speeder or a tauntaun or whatever. We didn't really need to see it. But with Finn, it was like they're trying to get through the doors, and it's like, how the fuck did he get back there? You know,
True.
like, I don't know. That makes less sense, but that's a future spoiler. And like, I don't know, like they were chasing the Millennium Falcon, but like they just didn't show us what was going on Hoth. Like, I feel like the battle continued and they probably all died. And yeah, I think they were like quick to go after the Falcon because that was the ship that shot Darth Vader in the previous movie.
Right.
Luke, I have no explanation because it is kind of funny how like the Falcon is being like chased and then it cuts back to Luke and he's just like, anyway, we're just gonna fly off and have a good time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it is a little
very
weird.
Strange. It's like,
But I guess
that
it's just
fucking ship.
he just went a different way that no one saw. I guess I don't know. He just snuck off. I like the scene though.
I guess that's one of the weirdest things for me. I love this movie. Don't get me wrong. This movie is fantastic, but like it was very that really stuck out to me. Like, ooh, something just doesn't add up here, and you know,
yeah.
it is what it is.
My main complaint with this movie is I feel like Han Solo is just like way too much of a dick in this movie for no reason.
Yeah. Han Solo also doesn't really have a character in this. Like,
well,
his character,
he kind of does.
I feel like what's his face just kind of phones it in.
Harrison Ford,
he just kind of phones this one in. He's like, I don't give a shit. I made enough money off
I
this.
do think that where because there's a lot of lines where he's just like, hey, what are you doing there? But there's a lot of scenes where he's great though, where like I do love the scene where I do think he's being a bit too aggressive with Leia, but I do like the scene where she's like, I'd rather kiss a Wookiee, and he's like, I can arrange that. I always think that line's funny.
That line is good.
But like, I feel like that kiss that happens between them on the Falcon, I feel like, and that's pretty early on, but like I feel like I needed that a little earlier because I feel like I'm getting baby, it's cold outside, you know, sort of vibes from their relationship.
It's an implication.
He's really pressuring her. But if we got a scene earlier where it's like we see Leia actually kind of, I feel like we don't see Leia actually caring until they kiss, and then it's like, okay, now I'm cool with this relationship. But like up until they kiss, I'm like, dude, Han's being fucking weird, man. I don't like this. But it was 1980, so I don't know. 1980, written by George Lucas. What are you gonna get? What do you expect?
Yeah, it is weird. Their relationship is strange. It works only at the back half of the movie. The beginning, he is very aggressive, and he's like, "Well, I don't care that much," and she's like, "Well, I don't care either," and then their lives are at risk, and they're like, "Oh, let's make out right now," instead of like actually getting away. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah. But I do feel like it is that scene when C-3PO walks in, like that's the scene where it's like, okay.
Where it turns,
Now we're cool. Although he did kind of pressure her into that kiss, but like now it's like, okay, at least I have confirmation that Leia's kind of into this, because she definitely like kissed back.
Oh yeah.
And but like I also wonder, like, was that their first kiss? Have they been, this has been going,
they're
because it's implied that they've kind of had a thing going on for a minute,
right, but also Han never like squares his debt with Jabba the Hutt, and I feel like if I was in Leia's position, that would be like a big no-no for me. Like, hey,
You're worried
you're
about her
gonna
debt.
die. You're gonna die because you're an idiot, and you're too much of an idiot for me to take care of you. So this isn't gonna work out.
I mean, they're already in a war zone all the time. Like, I don't think that's really, I don't think they're really worried about Jabba. He's a fucking Empire sympathizer,
Hey
like,
man, Darth Vader doesn't even fuck with Jabba though.
oh yeah, well, Tatooine is like, not really connected to the Empire that much.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but
I mean,
like
it is, but
when he hires the bounty hunters, and he's like, hey, uh, you know, I need Han alive, otherwise I'm gonna be in trouble. Boba Fett says this to Darth Vader, and he's like, all right, if shit, if he dies, then we'll pay you so that you can like he doesn't want to fuck up. He doesn't want to fuck his relationship with the Hutts, And I found that kind of powerful as the Hutts.
yeah.
Also in that scene, I found it weird that Darth Vader stops Boba Fett from shooting Chewbacca. I don't know if you caught that.
Yeah.
I found that weird.
Well, yeah, because he wanted to use them as bargaining chips for Luke. That was the whole point of like capturing them.
Well, I guess he just didn't want to kill anybody.
Yeah, he says that though, where he's like, we use them as a way to get Luke, because he wanted Luke. Yeah.
Right. But why not just kill them?
Because if he killed Luke's friends, I'm pretty sure Luke would be like, no, fuck you, man.
Would he be though?
I think
if he killed Luke's friends, Luke would have turned to the dark side.
I disagree, because that's the whole point of the original trilogy too, or not the original trilogy, but the prequels, where it's like, Palpy, our old pal Patino,
right.
He uses Padme as like, no, you should love Padme. Like, you use Padme as like, friendships are what leads you down the dark side, because the Jedis tell you don't do that. But that's the beauty of Luke. He's like, there's a balance there. He brings balance to the Force. You know what I'm saying?
Except totally different when he's on, when he's in the next movie, when he's fighting and he turns like, he's like, all your friends are going to die. And then Luke's like, I'm going to fucking kill you, Darth Vader.
Well, yeah, that was after he had already tried with the Freds, and that didn't work. So now we got to step it up,
Now we got to step it up.
Yeah.
Maybe daddy's love, daddy's love is.
Yeah. But yeah. I love this movie. I think it's really, really good. It's really good. Touches my heart. Lando, I really like Lando. Lando's good.
He's really good in this.
And I actually think Billy D. Williams is able to bring out Harrison Ford in moments where you're like, man, I think Harrison Ford is like phoning this in, but like Billy D. Williams is like able to bring something out. Like, I almost feel like they were friends on set or something, because like their chemistry is really good together, I think.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the scene where he's like flirting with Leia, and Han is like, you motherfucker.
Yeah. They did, which just goes to show, I think this movie helps Rogue One out, or not even Rogue One, helps Solo out really well as well, because you get that glimpse of what their friendship was like, and it works really well from Solo to this movie. It's like, yeah, I can see that what they got makes sense for what it was in Solo, what they have now. And I think that's a point for Solo, in my opinion. But
Yeah, I think there's like a counterpoint there where it's like it's almost better to not fully know their past because it is kind of like there's obviously some weird shit there. That's something I've always liked about Han Solo too, where it's like, what's up with this guy? You know, like there's always something going on with this guy. He's always gotten into something.
I've never liked Han Solo a whole lot. I always found like other characters stronger, and I think that has something to do with Harrison Ford's just kind of deadpan of all of his delivery. You know,
I think he's just so fucking good in the first movie that
he's
like
pretty good in the first movie.
Yeah, he's like such a standout in that movie that like they had to keep him in these next ones, and I almost feel like they're like, what do we do with this guy? You know, I guess we make him a general. I don't know, and like have him sleep with the princess or whatever. I don't really know. It did kind of feel like he was such a standout in that movie that they're like, oh well, he's got to be in the next ones.
Right.
I think he's a little better in the next one though, but
yeah, we will see.
Yeah,
we will see.
And also I think the reveal, the big reveal of
that Rey's a Palpatine.
Rey's Palpatine.
That's the wrong movie.
That Ben is Han Solo's child. No, that Luke is Darth Vader's kid. I think it still holds up, even though like I don't think there's a world where I don't even think I like saw these movies. I think when I saw these movies for the first time, I already knew. Like it's just something know. It's
I think we were too young for that.
Like if you were born after the 80s, like you come out of the womb knowing Luke is Darth Vader's child somehow. Like no one even has to tell you. You just know already somehow. Yeah. But it still works in this movie. And like the way that I think Mark Hamill's acting is so much better in this movie than the first one, where he's like an annoying farm child in the first one where you're just like, man, you're annoying. He's kind of annoying in this one, but like less so. And I think some of his acting is like pretty good. And like specifically when he's sitting on the Falcon at the end, he's like, why didn't you tell me? Like he's like saying that to Ben. He's like, what the fuck, man? Like I think that stuff works really well.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is really good because he delivers those lines really well, as cheesy as they are, and as cheesy as like his facial expressions are during that, like
yeah,
like the delivery was really well done. And it's like, yeah, if you just found that out and you're a teenage boy, we'll say,
like 19,
20, that's kind of how you would react, like, grandfather, why didn't you tell me?
Yeah.
And it was really well done, and I was actually surprised that I enjoyed those lines given some of the circumstances. Like one of the biggest ones is at the reveal where he's like, search your feelings, you know it to be true, and then he goes, no. It's like, oh, that's so fucking cheesy. Like his face does not do justice to like what is happening. Mark Hamill is not a face actor,
yeah.
But the point comes across, and it still does pretty good, because
I think that moment actually
is pretty real.
I think
that punch is real, even if his face doesn't really.
I think his face is fine though, because like he's just going for it. He just went for it. In a big way.
He went for it. Respect for sure. But
and I feel like in that moment you might kind of be ugly, where you're kind of like, no offense, Mark, if you're listening. He watches these. Mark Hamill. He loves the Loadercast.
His name is Name Upcoming or whatever.
Yeah. On No Name or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, because he was like, he's like, I'm crying and upset and mad. Like I think he nailed those emotions. And I love the way they characterize Vader in this one versus the first one. Where I don't think you could do this movie without the first one, because it's just such a neat way to handle Darth Vader, where in the first one he's basically fucking Jason Voorhees, right? Like he's fucking like he really is. He's terrifying. Like every time you see him, like, oh god, I don't even know if this man is a robot or a human or not, you know.
Yeah.
And like there's that scene where the things are closing and he's like coming at him, like it's scary, and he chokes people. He still has that shit in this movie where he like chokes the guy through the FaceTime. But
FaceTime?
they're FaceTiming. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, I guess they're FaceTiming.
They're on Discord.
They're Apple FaceTime. Great.
Yeah. But like then they have moments where it's like, hey, let's see his helmet being put on, where it like kind of humanizes him, and you're like, oh
yeah.
shit, that's a guy.
Well, even like some of the things that he says to the Emperor for one, and then to Luke, you kind of get the softer side start to come out. In the first one, he was the bad guy, and you're like, shit, you don't want to mess with this guy. In this one, it's like, oh, he's a papa. You know, he's a dad, and he cares, but he can't show it. Like even in the scene with the Emperor, he's like, "Hey, your son's gonna fuck shit up," and he's like, "Well, what if I don't kill him? He could be an ally." And it's like, "Oh, okay, okay." So
Yes.
there's a little like mercy at least, and then he doesn't kill Luke right off the bat. He's just like, I want to freeze him, and if that doesn't work, I'm just gonna try to convince him.
Well, and that's I forgot to mention that's another thing that they changed in the special edition was the look of Palpatine.
Oh yeah, good.
Yeah,
He looked
that's
horrible.
a good change. Yeah, the original Palpatine. Apparently, the original Palpatine was like a 90-year-old woman. And they put like gorilla eyes on top of her face or something, and then overdubbed a man's voice. It was not Ian McDermott in that movie.
Right. Yeah.
I think Ian McDermott was there in the next one, but yeah, and also just have it be like, oh yeah, Vader isn't the head guy either.
Right.
It's kind of like, oh, that's interesting. And also, if you read the Darth Vader comic books, it goes into like him hiring what's his butt, Boba Fett and stuff, and how he's kind of doing that behind Palpatine's back, and not really telling Palpatine. And Palpatine actually gets upset, and there's like moments in the comic books where like Vader is actually like, maybe I should kill Palpatine. There's the comic books are really cool, and I would actually love a Darth Vader show where they go into some of that stuff. But I think the way they handle Vader is just like, that's what elevates this movie, I think, to like a fucking 10 out of 10. Like, because if it was just like Leia and Han, like, but like the stuff with Vader and Luke going to Dagobah and stuff, like that shit's so cool. And like Luke going into like the dark side area or whatever, and like him dealing with like going to the dark side and like cutting Vader's mask off and seeing himself, like that's such good character moments. Like,
you know what's funny, the first couple of times I saw this movie, I was a small child, but the first couple of times I could not recognize the face in the helmet. So I'm like, is that what Darth Vader looks like underneath? Like, I thought he cut Darth Vader's. I always thought that was the weirdest fucking part of the movie, because I'm like, and Darth Vader's just there? What the fuck is happening?
When I was little, I was like, wait, is Luke Darth Vader? I was so confused.
Weird.
Yeah.
Weird. Kids think differently. So.
Yeah, I love how Luke is also like, he respects Yoda, but he's also like, fuck you, Yoda. Because even in that moment where Yoda's like, there's no need for weapons. And he's like, fuck you, man. I'm bringing my weapons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good movie.
Should we talk about some fun facts or what?
Yeah, let's do it.
I got some here.
Okay, you go first. I'll get the next one.
No, you go if you got it up right now.
Okay. The shots where Luke uses his Jedi powers to retrieve his lightsaber from a distance were achieved by having Mark throw the lightsaber away, then running the film in reverse. Fun facts. No wires there.
Interesting.
Mark Hamill had to bang his head 16 times on the ceiling of Yoda's hut before the director was satisfied with the scene.
Lucas financed Empire with his own money. Star Wars was a groundbreaking film in 1977 and changed the business model of Hollywood blockbusters. Before Star Wars, sequels and merchandise were not thought of as being worth much, so Lucas had struck a deal with 20th Century Fox, whereby he would forgo his director's fee in exchange for keeping full rights to any Star Wars sequels and merchandise, including toys. After the unprecedented success of Star Wars, a sequel was always going to happen, and in order to keep that control he had over the movie, Lucas decided to finance Empire himself. The initial budget for the film was $18 million, and Lucas bankrolled it with a combination of his own money he made from Star Wars and by taking out a bank loan.
Wow.
That's
Risky.
fucking George
Risky.
Lucas is such a fucking baller, dude, where he's like, I'm not gonna let the studios have this shit. Like,
Yeah.
this is my shit. I know it's gonna make a ton of money, and it did, because apparently he made his money back and then some, like 3 days after the release of the movie.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like that's
Yeah.
crazy.
It is crazy. I mean, George is changing shit like this. George Lucas was so impressed by Frank Oz's performance as Yoda that he spent thousands of dollars on advertising campaigns to try to get him an Oscar nomination for Best Actor in a Supporting Role. Lucas's campaign ultimately failed because it was felt that a puppeteer wasn't an actor. Lucas felt this wasn't fair to Oz, who honestly didn't care. So he cares, man. He cares about his stuff. You know?
I also heard that originally George Lucas wanted Jim Henson to play Yoda.
Yeah.
But Jim Henson was like, I'm sorry, I'm busy like making my own movie and shit. But my homie Frank Oz over here would be a good Yoda. And Lucas was like, oh yeah, sure. And in return, Lucas helped a lot with Jim Henson stuff. So
Really?
yeah. So they collaborated a lot. Because back then, George Lucas's style of special effects, where it was like miniatures and blue screen stuff, kind of went hand in hand with puppetry, which was Jim Henson and stuff. So like,
Yeah.
kind of made sense that they had a good friendship.
You know, it's funny. We'll just continue on this George Lucas train. During the filming of the Battle of Hoth, the Echo base troops were actually Norwegian mountain rescue skiers. That's kind of a mouthful. Norwegian mountain rescue skiers. In exchange for participation in the movie, Lucasfilm made a donation to the Norwegian Red Cross. This dude's just out here, just throwing money around.
Yeah, man. He's like, fuck it, I
throwing money
know.
around.
He's like, this movie can flop, and I'll still make money off the merchandise from the first movie. Like, it's fine.
Probably true. That's probably true. At least he didn't keep it, at least he did stuff with it. When shooting on location in Finse, Norway, a fierce snowstorm hit the hotel where
This
the
was
cast
wild.
and crew were staying. This would have normally halted filming, but directed Irvin Kershner,
The director, yeah.
the director, thought these weather conditions were an excellent opportunity to film the scene where Luke wanders through the snow after escaping the Wampa Cave. He did this by sending Mark Hamill outside in the cold, while he and the cameraman stayed and filmed inside the hotel's front hall. What a dick.
I love that shit.
What
That's
a
so
dick.
fucking
Yeah, just
awesome.
go out there and walk around, I guess. We'll just put
Yeah.
the camera right up to the glass and film you from over here.
Yeah, and apparently
hilarious.
Irvin Kershner was George Lucas's like film teacher when he went to school.
Oh, wow.
Like that's how he met him. But Kershner
Wow.
had like done some movies and stuff before this, obviously. But like, yeah, yeah. Lucas wasn't keen on directing the film himself. The production of Star Wars was long, arduous, and fraught with difficulties. Lucas had been left hospitalized with stress and exhaustion, and because of that, he wasn't keen on directing a sequel to Star Wars himself. Irvin Kershner was hired as director fairly quickly, but before that, Lucas did consider another well-known filmmaker. According to Ball of Verhoeven, he was invited for a meeting with Lucas and the Empire producer Gary Kurtz, to talk about directing the film. Verhoeven said he turned up at this meeting with a cut of his new movie, a Dutch, more explicit version of Grease called Spetters. After he screened Spetters to Lucas and Kurtz, Verhoeven said he never heard from them again.
Oh man.
Just like, what a way to be like,
reaching.
It's like, man, I wish I never showed him that.
I guess they didn't like it. Oh man, that is really funny. With the exception of being sucked out of Cloud City window, Mark Hamill did all of his own stunts.
That's cool. Good for you, Mark Hamill.
Solo, yeah. When Han Solo is about to be frozen, Princess Leia says, "I love you." In the original script, Han Solo was supposed to say, "Just remember that, Leia, because I'll be back." But at the time of filming, Harrison Ford wasn't entirely certain he did want to come back for a third movie. There's a reoccurring legend that his line, "I know," was ad-libbed. However, Alan Arnold's book, Once Upon a Galaxy, a journal of the making of The Empire Strikes Back, includes a transcription of the discussion between Ford and the director Irvin Kershner, in which Ford suggested the line.
Not only that, but I guess like George Lucas wasn't even a fan of it.
Of I know.
Yeah, and it wasn't until they did test screenings that the test screening, like the audiences were like, "Wow, that's fucking amazing," and now it's like one of the most iconic lines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people fucking get it tattooed.
Like apparently Harrison Ford like fought for that line. He's like, "No, that is what Han Solo would say," and he's right, because Han Solo is a dick, and like
he is a dick.
He's a dick, but like that's his way of showing compassion. Like I love that line. I think it's great.
Yeah, it is good, but also, fuck Han Solo, man.
Also, dick move, bro. Anything else? I mean, we could go on forever and ever about.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all we got.
Would you like to rank this bad boy?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you have it pulled up?
I guess not. My thing is not like reading it for some reason. Oh, I know why. Hold up. I can fix this.
You fix it, buddy.
This is like when Han Solo was trying to go to hyperspeed and it wasn't working. He's like, "It's not my fault. Yeah. It's not my fault."
Even Lando says the same shit.
I know. That's I love that too.
I kind of like that because it was like
they're the same.
They're one like, and the same. Yeah, exactly. Like they don't like each other, but you know they're the same fucking person.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, I got it up. Here's our LonerCast live action Star Wars rankings so far. At number 1, we've got Rogue One, a Star Wars story. At number 2, we've got Episode 4, A New Hope. At number 3, we've got Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. At number 4, we've got Obi-Wan Kenobi. At number 5, we've got Solo, a Star Wars story. At number 6, we've got Episode 1, Phantom Menace. At number 7, Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. What do you think, Nick?
What am I thinking?
What are you thinking?
Hey, man. You know, I thought long and hard on this one, but I think it goes at number 1.
I think it's gotta. All
right. Sweet. That's the easiest one. That's the easiest one we will ever have on the show.
Yeah, it's gonna get tough from here on out, I think.
It's gonna be tough. Oh, well, there might be one that we agree on again, but
I don't know. Tough. I don't think so. I don't think we're gonna agree on any of them.
It's possible. We still got the shows, my guy, and I think the shows are gonna be
weird. Yeah,
they're gonna be a weird one for us. But well, it is what it is.
There it is. Star number Wars 1. Episode 5. Yeah, if you could write it,
if I could write it.
Yeah, that'd be greatly appreciated. Well, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Star Wars Episode 5, Empire Strikes Back. It's classic. I wonder if we're blinded by it, you know, just the fact that we grew up with it. Probably. Yeah, probably. I wonder, like, what a child today would think of this movie.
Probably a little bit.
Yeah.
That's a good question. We should make a child and see what
We could.
If you know what I mean.
We could.
If you know what I mean.
Actually, we can't. I don't know how we do
Can't.
that.
That's not biologically correct. But
Well,
no, we should get a child. We should kidnap a child and see what they think of. Make them watch all of the Star Wars and tell us their opinions.
see, I fucked up with my nephew because, like, you know, of course, you've got a nephew. It's like you got to get him into Star Wars.
You gotta get him into.
But
Star
I
Wars.
started with him when he was like 3 years old. So now he's like
Oh.
me, where it doesn't matter if it's Star Wars, he's gonna like it.
Mhm.
You know, like he's
No, you gotta wait, and you just check on. Have you heard of Star Wars yet? He's like, no. Then you wait. Then
Yeah.
have you heard of Star?
well,
Like every
they're
time
all
you see him,
they're
have you
gonna
heard
hear
of
of Star Wars.
Well, I know, but as soon as they do, you're like, all right, we're watching them right now, all of
Yeah.
them. I'm taking the week off, and we're watching them.
The most disappointing thing happened actually with my nephew, where I tried really hard to get him into Star Wars, and then I'm like, well, he seems to like Star Wars good enough, but maybe he'll like Marvel more. So then I tried to introduce him to Marvel. You know what happened? This motherfucker, this fucking kid, his fandom of choice is Harry Potter. This little fucking bitch, dude. I tell you, just kidding. I love this kid
Because he's a
great.
nerd.
Well,
He's
yeah.
a nerd. He loves books and stuff.
Well, that's what it was. His mom read all the books with him, and they like. It was a moment for them,
That's cute.
yeah. But it's like,
what a
bro,
little mama's boy.
it's like Harry Potter, Luke Skywalker. I mean,
Star
come on,
Wars.
Luke Skywalker.
Star Wars. Yeah.
Yeah, come on now.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we talking
Hermione Granger, Chewbacca.
about? Or even
You
with
know?
like Hermione Granger or Miss Marvel. Let's go.
Well,
Well, yeah.
well, Black Widow. Black Widow. I don't know, man.
Hey, also George Lucas, because he self-financed this, he made a shit ton of money, and what he ended up doing with all that money was he gave a lot of it back to his employees, which is absolutely awesome. And J.K. Rowling hates trans people, so I mean, like, who are we gonna root for here? You know,
George Lucas,
he's the guy. He's the guy.
George Lucas, J.K. Rowling. Like, like I can't even reach
Yeah.
the ground, but that's where she's at.
Yeah. Anyway, word to your mother or whatever. Yeah.
Or to your mother.